this year has been a roller coaster, right? So the year starts. Well, let's start with last year. Last year, man, Florida was Florida, but then the first 2 weeks of the season happened, and then you were like, okay, Florida is godly. And then they beat Georgia. They pretty much dominate the SEC, and then the whole shoe throwing incident happens. They lost to Texas A&M too, but it looks like Texas A&M is playing spoiler from now on because they've done that 2 years in a row. But and then the whole shoe incident happens. Florida loses to LSU, and I remember when I told you, like, Florida lost 4 games last year. And I think that was
I seen that today. I was like,
yeah,
they really lost 4 games. And then this year they've lost 6 just in the conference. I mean, they've lost 6 overall, but like all 6 have been conference games.
Yeah.
That's
and they
horrible.
looked so good last year, and their team was stacked. They had Cal Pitts, you had Kadarius Toney, Cal Trask was playing out of his mind. Well, probably, being carried, but dude, it's like, I mean,
and like that's my whole thing about last year. Is like I didn't realize they went 8-4 until like, I'm not even joking. Like,
yeah,
it was noon today, because I was looking at coaching options for Florida, and it was showing Dan Mullen's resume at Florida, and it was like 8-4, and I was like, they went 11-2 the year before that. I was like, that must have been the year they had Kyle Trask and all that, 11-2, and I was like, no, because Kyle Pitts is a rookie on the Falcons, so then I was like, they went 8-4 last year, and I'm just so surprised by that, because they had a powerful team. They were up high in the rankings with 4 losses. They made a New Year's Six bowl with 4 losses. That's kind of crazy to me, honestly.
Or
you
three,
had
3, and then
Oh yeah, 3 losses, and then they lost the new. I mean, well, technically, yeah, they had 2 losses in the season, and then the SEC championship, and then the bowl loss. So you can't put a lot of played a powerful. Well, it was one of the most dominant Bama teams with a wide receiver winning the Heisman, and then you played who did they play in their bowl game?
Oklahoma,
yeah. No, that wasn't gonna work out.
That was a game that made me say, okay, Oklahoma might be dangerous this year. Was I correct? No. No, I was not. But it's like, it's so hard to look at that Florida team and go, bro, they lost 4 games, because it's really hard to believe. And this year, man, I'm talking, he lost his best playmakers, and you could tell. And he had a guy like Emory Jones that he wasn't really setting up to take over that starting spot. And I remember I told you this like a couple weeks ago, and you were like, but they had spring training. Spring training isn't going to help you. I mean, look at JT Daniels and the Georgia situation now. You can practice all you want, but when you get on that field during the game, it's a different atmosphere. And Emory Jones was just clearly not prepared or ready. Now, do I think Anthony Richardson will be prepared when it's his time to step up, which will probably be next year? Yeah, because he stepped into the game. He's getting that feel of it. And I think he'll be ready. It won't be Dan Mullen, so who knows what's going to happen there. But yeah, it's embarrassing, man. As a Georgia fan, it's a sad day, because I like Dan Mullen. I feel like we would love a guy that's recruiting in a major pipeline state to say we only recruit during the off season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a Georgia fan, that's beautiful to me. I think it'll be tougher now to record that Florida pipeline with a coach who puts time and effort into recruiting. But I like something people have been saying that I was just kind of agreeing with, was that I don't think Dan really even wanted to be here. You know what I mean? I think after last season, or even this start, he was looking for a role in the NFL, which he's great as an offensive play caller. I think he'll be great, but I mean, does he maximize his players to the best of his ability? Does he develop well? That's something I feel like we got to look at now, because you know what I mean. But
the thing for me about Florida is I didn't see them firing Dan Mullen coming. Honestly, I mean, it's completely justified.
Oh no.
But preseason, we did our season outlook, and my drop off was the Florida Gators, and you said why, and I said, well, they're losing all their talent, and it's completely showing this season. As like I said, they're 2-6 in conference. The only team that is worse than them in conference is Vanderbilt, who is 0-7. And Jesus. I mean, take what you want with that. I mean, I'm gonna take exactly what I see with that. They are the second worst team record-wise in conference play. They are tied with LSU in regular overall record at 5-6, and I mean, if you want to give LSU, I mean, I kind of give an LSU a notch over Florida because they're 2-5 in conference play, not 2-6. But This Florida Gators team is showing that they lost Kyle Trask, who was a Heisman candidate, Kyle Pitts, who was a Heisman candidate in some people's eyes. Then they lost Kadarius Toney in the first round. They lost some guys on defense, and some of those guys returned on defense, which that's why you thought they were going to come back just as strong. And I was like, I could see that. But we also both said that Emory Jones is a liability at quarterback. And it has shown, as he has just made. Yeah. I talked to a Florida fan, so you can't tell me I'm wrong with this. Man's watched his whole interception tape. This man has an interception tape, Emory Jones. And he just watched him. He just watched him stare down receivers and throw it. He will stare down his receivers, throw it to him, and get picked off. And you can't blame Florida at this point, because then they put the backup in, who everybody was praising. He threw two interceptions against Georgia right before the half, or was it one? And then the other two were fumbles. The score. It was two interceptions, and he's thrown 5 on the year completely, plus those 2. So when your quarterbacks combined have thrown 25 touchdowns with 15 interceptions, you got to look at some sort of coaching. Because, I don't care how bad the team is. Unless you play for UConn or something, you shouldn't be throwing 15 interceptions.
And that's what lack of game experience does. You'll do stuff like stare down receivers.
And but Emory Jones has been in games before. Like we talked about.
But he's never really played. It was
2017.
The ball. He doesn't come. He's not coming in throwing the ball like. You say, he never really got the shine, the spotlight to really legit, I feel like, make plays. I don't think Dan Mullen ever put focus on him because he wasn't starting. Remember, this guy had Felipe Franks starting over him.
Yeah, and 2017, like I was saying, Emory Jones stepped in and played games at the end of the game, like when they were winning.
But they were getting their cheeks clapped.
Oh, well, when they were getting their cheeks clapped, he'd step in as well.
You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of reasons where you don't put a guy in, but I just don't think Dan Mullen truthfully prepared Emory Jones for SEC football. That can work somewhere in the ACC or the Big Ten. The SEC, you can't do that. You got to get these guys ready to play, because the SEC has some of the rowdiest fans, and literally every stadium you go to, these guys get loud. Now there's some where you're like, oh, okay, your fans suck, but it's respectfully, you can't do that.
I do want to take some of the hate off of. We're not really hating them, so we're just telling the truth. I want to take some of the hate, I guess, off of Florida. Put on Dan Mullen. Okay, so think about this. The only time he's really done great as a team, as he's been like highly ranked and all that, was Mississippi State. He was ranked high one time, and Florida, he was ranked high one time. 2020 season. With Kyle Trask, who was a Heisman hopeful. And the other time I'm talking about at Mississippi State, I don't know if you know this quarterback. He's in the NFL. He had Dak Prescott, and he was ranked high.
If you don't know.
So, just looking at that, those are the 2 times he's really been ranked high as a head coach. And I think there's probably been when he was the first 2 years at Florida. But I really wouldn't even give him that, because that's not his team. Just like we talked about with Kirby, that 2017 team, it was not his team. But he took him there, but that was not his team. You know what I'm saying? And now that this is, we're actually in Kirby's team, he's doing good. You can give Kirby all the compliment you want, because, it's his team. But damn, those weren't his teams, So, Kyle Trask, and you got Dak Prescott carrying team. Take away those quarterbacks. When you're running with Nick Fitzgerald at Mississippi State, when you're going with Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson, you're not playing well. You're not coaching well. You got to look at Dan Mullen. And he's just saying he's not recruiting. I don't think this man is probably going to get another big-time job like Florida again. He'll probably go back to a team like Mississippi State. You know what I'm saying? Like one of them mid-tier teams in a Power 5 conference, or lower possibly. And, you can't blame Florida for this. And you probably didn't watch it, but the press conference from the athletic director, he said all the right things. They were like, why would you fire Dan Mullen when the head coaching pool is so wide open with all these other teams? And he said, well, we're Florida. We expect to win. People expect us to win, so coaches are going to want to come here. I'm not going to lie. Florida is a desirable place to coach. It's more desirable than, I don't know about, how other people see it, but I think it's a more desirable place than USC, with all the controversy that's been over there since, who was it? Lane Kiffin was there. And then LSU's a good place to coach, I would say, but I think Florida's a little bit better than them, just because you're inside of a pipeline state, and Florida, one of the best states for recruits. So, I mean, you're looking at that, and you're like, okay, yeah, Florida is a good place to coach. And then they said, do you think, it was something about, are your expectations too high or something like that? And he said, no, I don't think that they're high at all. And that's all he said, because you're the Florida Gators. I mean, you had Heisman winners. You have national championships recently, not like they were 40 years ago like some other team in the SEC. And you're not playing well anymore, and your head coach says, we'll talk about recruiting when it's recruiting time. It is recruiting time 24/7. And Kirby said that as well, and I'm sure Nick Saban says that as well. I'm sure all these other schools, Ryan Day probably says it, Lincoln Riley probably say that, and Dan Mullen's over here, we're talking about recruiting when it's recruiting. No, man, it's recruiting time 24/7. That's how you win games, and that's honestly probably, I'm not going to say that Missouri was the breaking point for the athletic director of Florida in general. I think we've all just seen it build up over time. I think the real, okay, here's your final warning with us, the when they fired Todd Grantham. I think they fired him, they're like, all right, there goes your little sidekick that you wanted to keep so bad, it looks like. So now they're like, go ahead and go win. If everybody's saying he's the liability, go ahead and go out there and win. And then he loses to Missouri, and they're like, all right, you're out of here. You're gone. You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And it's crazy right now because I think Florida's looking at the Raging Cajuns head coach. I think we saw today. So
I'm surprised they're not looking at the
at the NFL.
The Baylor the Baylor head coach.
I feel like they need to go reach for the NFL. I mean, keep this in mind, right? You have to find a coach who can do even a percentage of the recruiting that Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney in the Carolinas. I'm not gonna say Lane Kiffin because he's not going stupid, but you got to realize this he's competing against three top tier dogs right there in that Southeast. So I think that's the whole problem with Dan Mullen. They didn't really look at the fact if he was a good recruiter or not. I think Dan Mullen was going to turn into a Gus Malzahn, and I think he'll do a Gus Malzahn. He'll go to a team in a conference I think Luke Fickell's going to end up leaving Cincinnati. Maybe not. They're going to the Big 12. We'll see. But if Luke Fickell leaves Cincinnati, I think we could see Dan Mullen head to Cincinnati. I think he'll find his way into a different conference, maybe Pac-12. Or he might, like I said, he might make his way to the NFL. I don't think he would fail. You don't have to recruit there. I don't think he'll get a head coach spot. I think he'll get some an offensive coordinator or so, passing game coordinator or something. But as him for the head coach, I'm not seeing too many options for him, or in the SEC if that's where he was trying to stay.
Yeah. I told you I watch Josh Pate 24/7 Sports. He has a little podcast. He said there's not a lot of hires, and I'm talking about this as a Georgia fan. He said there's not a lot of hires that Florida can make that will make Georgia fans wake up and sweat and be like, oh my goodness, they just hired this man. And he said that there's only a few. Lane Kiffin, which is obviously not going to happen. Luke Fickell, which is probably not going to happen either. And he said the Baylor guy, which I totally agree because he explained it, and he said that man has taken over after Matt Rule, hasn't taken a step down or anything like that. After he took that second year or the first year after Matt Rule, he sort of took a step back, but now he's came back. He just beat Oklahoma, and Baylor's looking like a great team this year as well. And honestly, I feel like he can build a team better than Dan Mullen can, obviously. And I really wouldn't sweat about the Baylor hire. I think it is a good hire, but I really wouldn't sweat about it. There's not a lot of hires that they can make that would be like, oh my goodness. That's why me and you talked about it. We were like, I don't know why they would fire Dan Mullen, or we know why they fired Dan Mullen, but it's like there's not a lot of head coaches out there right now that we're like, wow,
not this year.
They're in the
guys that's making you go, yeah, I need him. I need
exactly.
That guy right
now. And we just named two, Lane Kiffin and Luke Fickell, but they're not really options. They're at a school and they're doing well in that school, and they have no reason to leave that. Only reason Luke Fickell would leave Cincinnati is if he just wanted to leave. And I don't know why you want to leave a team that just is just now ranked in the top 4 in the college football playoff. There's no reason. Especially since you're about to move into a Power 5 conference, which is going to make it easier for you to be ranked into the top 4. I don't see it happen, honestly.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I hate Florida with a passion, but I think it's best if they're better, because it helps Georgia, it helps Florida. In the future when if these teams both can become great again, it helps Georgia if they win. It helps Florida if they win that game. I mean, we need to play as many ranked opponents as we can. Florida being not good this year was not good for us. It could have helped us out a lot. That playoff resume is going to look very good after Saturday after we stomp Georgia Tech, but it'd look even better if some years we won't be this elite, and we'll need a win over a ranked Florida team to make it go, okay, they need to be in there, but
I'll keep, if I'm a Florida fan, I'd keep your eyes glued to the television at noon Saturday. If you lose a game against Florida State, your rival, you're not going to a bowl game.
You missed the bowl game.
So
that's depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, this team after week 3 thought they were they were dark horses to make the playoffs. People were actually saying there could be 3 SEC teams in the playoffs because Florida lost by 2 to Bama, that moral victory. And then they went and lost to Kentucky because they called 4 verticals on 4th and goal. That's when you should have fired Dan Mullen.
Correct. I'm just going to leave it off with this. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about Florida and Dan Mullen. I'm just going to say this one more time. Dan Mullen's 1-5 against Georgia since I started paying attention to that man. That I guess all these schools that are about to hire him listen to that. 1-5 against top team in the nation. Over the years, not just with Florida. At Mississippi State, we just dogged him. I absolutely annihilated him. But hey, it's who has an opening this year? Georgia Southern. If you want to hire him, go for it, man.
Don't disrespect him like that, man. Come on.
Man, we just talked about it, man. This man can't recruit, man. It's not that he can't recruit. He just doesn't.
This man said Georgia Southern. I think he'll get a good offer. There's a team out there that's good, but needs that offensive edge. Like I said, bro,
I think a mid-tier Power 5 team, let's say I'm trying to think of a mid-tier team, like a Kentucky,
Nebraska, Kentucky, yeah.
No, not Kentucky. I'm not saying Kentucky, but like a Kentucky, like you said, Nebraska. But I don't think they're gonna fire Scott Frost, for who knows why. Did they fire that? No, I don't think they fired him. Did they fire their head coach?
Florida State. I mean, you got to consider this guy probably won't get hired until the offseason. And people will get fired still by the end of the season. And I think some people are going to be salivating at that Dan Mullen hiring, bro. I'm just letting you know that. Some people are going to salivate at that. I don't think it's over for him. I think he'll still get a pretty good offer and he'll be coaching.
I definitely think he'll get another offer. But I mean, you can.
People are, it's like with Kirby Smart. Okay. Georgia found out that he was trying to interview for South Carolina. They fired Mark Rich just so they could hire Kirby. You know what I'm saying? Some guys are looking at that Mullen signing we could use that. He's not going to recruit, but the guy we have now isn't recruiting. So what's the negatives?
Like I just said though, teams that are looking to hire Dan Mullen, he's steadily decreased over the seasons. 10-3 his first year, 11-2 in his next year, 8-4 his next year, and then 5-6. So I mean, just keep an eye on that. Anyways, man, let's end this Florida debate, man. I'm tired of talking about these boys.
This has been the Sports Junkies Podcast. Been Cam, Kid Cam.
Yes, sir.
For another video, we're gonna do some lines. It's gonna be the first time we do betting lines. So this will be the first time we do betting lines.
We've how do you say dipped our toes in the betting these past couple weeks. I've been doing it the whole season, but I finally started putting money on it about 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, he hit on all but one game. That was depressing.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, we'll get into that whenever we get to the parlay we got set up for you guys. But anyways, Sports Junkie Podcast. Kid and Cam. Yes, sir. Please subscribe. Please like. It helps the channel. And it helps y'all find our videos.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll see you next time.